Hey, welcome back to OT Asset Management Weekly. Today we look at software analytics in Power BI. Why is that a thing, you might wonder? Because you can already do your dashboards, your analytics in OT-based inventory. So we got a lot of reporting and dashboarding functionality integrated in there. But some people would like a little bit more customizability, so things could look like this as an example, okay? So the benefit for using Power BI for your analytics and for your reporting certainly is twofold. First of all, you can just customize everything. You can, from the sizes of the widgets to your color schemes, you can include your corporate logo in there, and it just might look a little bit nicer. It might also be the familiar platform that your management uses for reporting. So that's reason number one why you would want to do that. And second, why are we looking at software, in this case, particularly at Windows software? Why is that so important? Well, that's very simple to explain. Most of the vulnerabilities, roughly 90% of known vulnerabilities in your OT environment, usually go back or have their root cause in Windows software. It's not about your firmware that you see in your automation devices. It's all about Windows software. So if you want to do a reasonably well job in your OT vulnerability management, there is no way around your Windows software. That does not stop with the operating system versions. Those outdated versions such as Windows 7, they cause issues, but it extends into application software. So this is why you want to really have a good understanding of your installed base when it comes to Windows software, and any platform that doesn't provide this information is basically unusable for vulnerability management. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at what you can do with Power BI. And first of all, how did the data actually get in there in this particular dashboard? Well, there is a specific connector, a Power BI connector for OTbase that you can license. And then this gets very simple, because when you click on Get Data for the data load into Power BI, you just select the OTbase connector, and that's basically it. As a result, you will see all those fields here on the right side at the right margin populated, such as end of life for a particular hardware product, installation date, product life cycle, pretty much everything that you also have already seen in OTbase, and same thing for hardware products, for software products, which we will take a closer look at in a minute. So everything is already in there. Everything is tied together, so you can jump right into your dashboarding, your dashboard generation. And it still gets better, because the dashboards that I will show you today, we will also make them available for customers, so that you don't have to start from scratch. You will be able to just reuse these, which focus on particular areas of interest, I would say. So in this particular dashboard, as you can see, we are focusing on operating system versions and applications. And again, this is only for Windows systems. In a minute, we will also check out some firmware products, but this is only about Windows. So let's just quickly walk through here. In the top left, you see the total number of installed software products. We are looking at 341 devices total here. Unique applications, roughly 2,000. Here we see the distribution of critical versus non-critical devices. So this is not about software, this is about devices, which gives me the ability to filter for critical devices only, as an example. I will show you that in a second. which certainly adds some spice to my data, to my statistics, because I might particularly be interested in applications or outdated operating systems on critical devices. Then I can filter for top application types, which could be engineering software, it could be office software or web browsers. And this is, as you may know, as an OTbase user, is already preset in OTbase. So anytime you get data from your OTbase discovery from those Windows boxes, then OTbase already knows, Google Chrome, that's a web browser. So you don't have to do any manual metadata enrichment here. This is all pre-filled. Then we have the top app vendors, such as Rockwell, such as Adobe, operating system versions, Windows 7, Windows XP. Oh, they don't like that, but that's the reality in OT environments. And the top applications for this particular filter set. Down here, lower left, we see a list of applications that match our filter. And then to the lower right, you see a tree map of geographical distribution. So these are our sites in our sample environment here. And we see that most of the software products are installed in our Charlotte plant. So now let's do some analytics. Let's do some filtering. Let's say I want to single out web browsers. So I click here on the application types widget. I click on web browsers, and this updates all the other widgets so that I can now see right away, well, I have mostly Chrome installed and then a little bit of Microsoft Edge and a couple of Firefox versions. That is also reflected in the vendor. So we have Mozilla, Google, and Google LLC. This is due to the fact that sometimes the vendors report their names differently. Top operating system versions. So most of our browsers run on Windows 7 Enterprise. Most of them are installed in Charlotte. So one thing that I could do is to now focus only on critical devices by just clicking on this item here and with the shift bar pressed. Okay, so now I see which browsers I have running on critical devices. We're talking about a totality of 60 on 57 devices. That tells me, well, on 3 devices, I have 2 different browser versions installed, which, as you may know, sometimes is a thing, particularly for testing. So down here in the tree map, I see most of them are installed in Charlotte. Then I have some in Durham, Flat Rock, and one in Houston. So now let's get really fancy. If you view this in the context of vulnerability management, you already know that a lot of vulnerabilities go back to outdated browser versions. Now, if you check these versions down here in the table, you would say, oh, hair on fire, 70, Google Chrome version 76, 68, 56. Totally outdated, hopelessly outdated. And rather than telling your users, well, you got to update your browser, the other thing that you could consider is, well, maybe we just deinstall the damn thing. And how could OTbase help you with that? Well, very simple, by these numbers here in the rightmost columns: most recent run, least recent run. This is data that is automatically collected by OTbase. And let's just say I select this first one right here. Then you see magic happens. In this widget in this upper right corner, you see the distribution of days since last run. And that shows me right away, I have a couple of instances where this particular software hasn't been used for almost 2 years. So basically here in this gap here, there would be the 1 year mark. You see down here, the x-axis is the number of days since last run. So right here, we would have about 1 year. And that also means that everything beyond, everything to the left has not been executed for more than a year, which would tell me probably they no longer need this damn software in the first place. So why even bother to update it? We will simply deinstall it. So and then you could certainly go further. You could go down in your filtering and say, okay, I select all of those here. And you see again how everything is updated. I see where the remaining installations are, depending on how much I want to filter. So this tells me right away where those applications are. 13 in Durham and 6 in Flatrock. Easy peasy. So this is how you can use those analytics. You could basically call them business intelligence if you want to be fancy, to explore your installed software base for particularly hypothesis or use cases you have in mind. One would be system hardening, because especially since we include now the last execution dates in OTbase, in Discovery, that happens automatically. You don't have to do any manual work for that. That gives you a good grip on which software basically isn't needed anymore. So therefore, the best thing that you could do is just deinstall it. Okay, so let's look at another example. Let's look at Office products. So we have selected here in the app types to look at Office. Again, this is preset by OTbase. You don't have to do that manually. OTbase knows that Microsoft Office is Office software, and it knows about the intended purpose. So therefore, by just clicking on this bar here in the types histogram, it will filter for Microsoft Office. And you see the particular products again down here in the table. You see the operating system versions where this is running on. And again, you see most recent run, least recent run. So if I just filter by most recent run, just by looking at that table, again, you will see, damn, there are instances that haven't been used for more than 2 years, right? And if I select this one, I would see, again, additional details. And and if I select any more of those, you see, again, this chart in the upper right populated again. Certainly by now, I know, since I've applied the sort, that all these are very much to the left side. So that would give me another angle, as I see where those are: 2 in Flatrock, 1 in Charlotte, 1 in Houston, for system hardening. So this is basically how that works. And you can certainly use that for a number of different use cases. I just wanted to give you an idea how you can extract important intelligence about your installed base with just a couple of clicks. And this is certainly one of the shining points in Power BI. It's the cross-filtering capability. So if you just remember, you hold the shift bar and then you click the mouse, and then the filters are combined. And this is very powerful because it allows you to get answers to your questions within seconds. So the other thing that we're going to do now is, I think with the Windows software, that is in dry towels. So let's focus on another area, which is firmware, because here you don't see any automation products with their particular firmware versions. In order to, before we do that, let me one important area that would be the engineering software. So you just click on top application types here on the engineering bar, and then you see all the engineering software. Everything else works as you have seen. I just wanted to mention that to be in the for the sake of being complete here, because certainly for OT, the engineering applications are very, very important. But now let's go back to firmware. We have another dashboard prepared for this. In this dashboard, you no longer see any Windows software. This is all about firmware, and the hardware types that you can select here. Obviously, no Windows involved, no computer involved here. So you could single out communications adapters, switches, etc. And these are the hardware categories. So this makes a lot of sense if you are already using OTbase, because you know a category, that's the umbrella term. So in the actuator category, you would find VFDs as an example. You might also find valves, robots, and so on. And this is like more granular here, the hardware types. The criticality is the same, total installations, unique devices. It's pretty similar to what we have seen earlier. And then we have the vendors, the top firmware versions, and the top products like Siemens, CPU. So for all our automation devices in this sample data set, we can see right away what most of those OT devices are Siemens CPU 1200. Then we have a couple of other products here, like 7056, EN2T, and so on. Cisco switches, heavily represented. Down here we have our location tree map once more, and here we have our product table, sorted by default by the number of devices. And now I can do the same type of cross filtering. So let's just say I am interested in my actuators. Then I click on here and I see, well, I have a bunch of more or less unspecified actuators and 37 AC drives or VFDs. I can see right away what those top products are. PowerFlex 525 as an example, I see right here. I can see where those are. So let's focus on those PowerFlexes, shift click. And here I see that table shrinks down to this one entry. Top vendor is Rockwell, that is not a surprise. And here I see right away the distribution of firmware versions, okay? So I see right away for all my PowerFlexes, I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different firmware versions. Maybe something I want to correct. I might want to have all of those on the same firmware version. At least I might want to get rid of that totally outdated one, 3.1. Where do I have this? Well, you know, shift click. I have it in Houston, 4 of them. So you get an idea how simple that is, and especially how quickly you can extract intelligence from your data pool. And this is, in our opinion, the value of using a dedicated reporting platform such as Power BI, because especially if you are in the intelligence finding phase, so you're trying to identify potential issues that call for a correction, you're trying to identify opportunities for system hardening, I think Power BI is absolutely fantastic to get answers to your questions in a very, very quick way. And all you need to do to make that connection with Power BI is the OTbase Power BI connector. Bang, you get all the data transferred from OTbase inventory to Power BI. And then, as I have shown you earlier, you can select your data items on that right margin, create your own dashboards, or if you are not in the mood to create your own dashboards, you can use our standardized default dashboards where you just may want to make a couple of modifications, like replace the OTbase logo with your company's logo, use a different color scheme, but you just hit the ground running. So that was the topic of today. If we don't have any questions, doesn't look like it, then we can finish early today. And I will see you next week. Bye-bye.